Bryan Thrift here again today with Bass University, and I'm going to go through the little nuances of all the different types of fishing line there are on the market. I specifically use P-line. They have a type of line for every situation that I'm going to run into on the water, from a high quality fluorocarbon to a high quality braid, all the way down to a co-polymer. And I'm going to show you some of the different types of lines and different types of those specific lines. Like, not all fluorocarbons are created equal, not all braided lines are created equal, and not all copolymers are created equal. So I'm going to break them all down, tell you the situations when I like to use each one, the different applications, and how some of them overlap. And it's going to help you cast better, help you get more distance, and help you get more bites. So the first thing I'm going to dive into is braided line. There's typically two different types of braid that most manufacturers or most people use and come across. Actually, let me back that up. We're going to go to three different braids, but one's going to be very specific. So the main two types you're going to be using for a bait caster, you have a 4-strand carrier braid and an 8-strand. And what that means is the way the braided line is woven together. One of them, you have 4 separate lines that are woven into a braid to make a 4-strand. The other, the 8 carrier, is an 8-strand woven together to make it a little bit smaller and a little bit tighter. So with P-line, their 8-strand carrier braid, let me demonstrate both of them. So this is their 8-strand carrier, this is their 4-strand, and I'm going to break down the differences of each one and the situations when I'm going to use one over the other. So your 8-strand carrier is a very popular braid. It's a little bit smoother and it's a little bit thinner than a 4-strand carrier. So anytime I'm throwing a bait that I'm going to be making very long casts with, like if I'm throwing a large topwater, a frog, or if I'm throwing a bait on a bait caster that I want to tie a fluorocarbon leader to, I'm going to go to this 8-strand carrier braid because I'm going to get more casting distance, simply because of the fact that it's a smoother line. It's going to come through the guides better, and it's going to allow you to make a lot longer cast. It's not as loud coming through your reel, and it still have that superior knot strength and direct connection that you have with all braids, but it doesn't have any stretch like you do with a copolymer or with a fluorocarbon. So if I'm throwing a big topwater, frog, and grass, that's when I'm reaching for that 8-strand carrier braid. Smoother, casts longer, very strong, and you're gonna be able to get those fish through that heavy cover. And you might ask yourself, well, if that's that good and that's all you need for braid, why would you go to a 4-strand carrier braid? So the 4-strand carrier, I actually like it better when I'm fishing close. So if I'm pitching heavy grass mats or pitching heavy wood log jams where I can get away with a braided line, I like the 4-strand better because it is a little bit more abrasion resistant than an 8-strand. Now, 8-strand is still a great line. You're not going to have to worry about breaking it. And I throw it in open water. I throw a frog on grass mats. But when I'm into some really thick, nasty stuff, if it's got barnacles on it, if it's got shells on it in the grass mats and on those heavy log jams, I like a 4-strand better because it's a bigger piece of braid woven together. So you essentially got 8 strands on the 8 carrier, 4 strands here, but the 4 strands that are woven together are actually a bigger diameter than each of the 8 strands. So it gives you a little better abrasion resistance when you're in that super, super heavy cover. So when I'm pitching, flipping, making short casts, I like the 4-strand better. When I'm making long casts and really need to get that distance, I'm throwing the 8-strand carrier braid. And as far as colors go, I typically stick with something natural. You can see both of these are natural green color, and try to turn that. Let me pop one out of the box here where you can see that color. So typically most braids come in a black and a green, and now you're starting to see a lot more vibrant colors where people can actually see the line, especially when they're using leaders on a spinning reel or something like that. But when I'm throwing a bait caster with my braided line, whether it's 8 carrier or 4 carrier, I want a very natural color, a black or a green that's going to be very low visibility to the bass.